Hey Bible lovers, I'm Tim Nichols. I'm here bringing you Nichols Worth, and today from Schuyler we have the NLT Quentel. Now, one thing that sets the NLT Quentel apart from other Quentels is the fact that it's a little bit thinner, and I'm going to show you why by comparing it to another Quentel, the CSB. And as you can see, the CSB Quentel, which I have several others, this is about the standard thickness of a regular Quentel. This one is about 1/8 of an inch thinner, so it gives you kind of more of a thin line look. For example, this is the same layout as an NLT Quentel, only put out by Thomas Nelson, and you can see that they are about the same thickness. Now, this is an 11-point font with 36 GSM paper. This is a 10-point font with 28 GSM paper. I don't know how they make them the same thickness when there's a thicker paper in this one and a thinner paper in this one, and essentially the same size font, but here we are. So with that said, let's take a look at the NLT Quentel in dark green goatskin. First of all, the Jerusalem cross. I absolutely love when they have their insignia on the cover. Nice stitching, beautiful Beresford ribbons, 3 of them in a green. And then we have, of course, the spine that you're used to in a Schuyler with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 raised hubs, Schuyler logo, or shall we say Jerusalem cross, because their logo is something different. And then, of course, it acknowledges the translation, which is the NLT Holy Bible stamped in. Gilding. That's one thing they really do a good job on. The gilding always looks nice and sharp. No flaws, no mars. Then when you move into the layout, here's where the NLT Quentel is really sharp. Okay, now there's some things about it that are very different from the Quentel than you're used to. Because in this, you're going to see, number one, a big, large chapter number. These are introduced with a little tiny chapter number. That's probably essentially a 10-point font itself. And then it has some brackets here to kind of identify it for you. I'm not in love with that choice, but it's not bad. I absolutely love the choice on the drop caps. It just gives it a sleek, modern look to kind of match the NLT style because it's more modern translation. And if you want to compare it to some other drop caps, there's several options as well with Schuyler. They have the RSV. This one actually has the Apocrypha. And these have a little bit more ornate and kind of old English looking drop caps. And then you also have like the Traveris or the Canterbury, which have even more kind of an old Englishy looking drop caps. So the NLT is going to give you like the least ornate drop caps, but they are still very nice. I love the accent colors. I love the choices that they made to make it look quite modern. So now let's just take a look at some things that make this different. 28 GSM paper. Your normal Quentel is going to have an 11-point font. This only has a 10. I'll be honest with you. I don't see a marked difference between the two fonts. It's smaller, but it's not super discernible in the fact that it's smaller. What really makes the Quentel a great layout is, number one, it's double column. It's a paragraph format. It does have your verses. Now, the verses are not accented in this NLT, but they're also not accented in your other Quentels, but they are a little bit smaller and they don't seem as bold. So I could see those being just a touch more difficult to find because they are a bit smaller. They put their references and notes on the bottom, which is a solid choice because it lets your columns be nice and even. This is typeset by 2K Denmark, so you know you're going to get beautiful work. It is line matched, so the ghosting, I'll say this, the 28 GSM coated French Indopaque Bible paper, while it's thin, my complaint is it's difficult to turn. It feels more like a tissue paper, to where when you get into like a 36 GSM, like this Thomas Nelson here, it is so easy to grab the pages and turn them. It takes no effort at all. It's just really beautifully done. I love, this is my favorite Bible paper. But when it comes from an opacity standpoint, this is really hard to beat because the ghosting, check it out. The ghosting is not significantly different, and this is significantly thicker paper. So it is a nice paper. I also really like that they went with a brown accent here on the green. Something about the green and brown together looks pretty nice. Nice work here. The corners are a touch sloppy, but you know what? That's not that big of a deal. So as you move on, of course, we have the 3 Beresford ribbons to mark each page. When you get into the New Testament, this is not going to be a red letter edition. This is going to be a black letter edition. And then once you get to, oh my goodness, the concordance. Why? Why even put it in there? Just make it thinner. I don't get why you would want something with such a minuscule, microscopic, what is that, maybe a 2, possibly 3-point font. I can read it, but I can also see how some people would struggle with it, and this would be a useless feature. So this is something I fuss about all the time. One thing I don't fuss about is Schuyler maps. Their maps are absolutely outstanding. On a little bit of a thicker Bible paper, this is probably more of a 36 to 40 GSM, and they are flat, so there's no gloss, no sheen, no shine. Absolutely beautiful work. Love the edge lining. Excellent. So these are excellent Bibles, but they do come at a price. They are very expensive. These are around $200, and there are definitely cheaper options for you, but not in the NLT and not in premium. So if you want a premium NLT, this is probably your best option outside of a rebind. God bless you. Keep calm. Jesus on. This is your Nicholsworth.